Djenne marala niya do kunfla nyogoye jatigi wale kelaoni donzo tunkarla nyogona. Auniche audance. Ne togoko kolman. Welcome to another episode of Kuma bakolo, a project from Ankata, my initiative to create media and resources for speaking and learning Manding. On this show, we look at Manding expressions from the real world and try to analyze and understand them. If you're new here, think about subscribing. Otherwise, if you'd like to practice some of the words and expressions we cover in this video, there's a link down in the description below. You can get access to a virtual workbook where you can practice and do quizzes and flashcards of everything that we cover. Otherwise, Ankata. Aiwa, donc bikoni ne kuma do ta ka bo RFI mandenka na Ankata ufle. Aiwa, donc nando na kono, oya sebeko Mali Djenne marala niya dogokun fla nyogonye jatige walekelaoni donzo tun karala nyogona. Okorokodi. What does that mean? All right, so you can see, let's just take a second and look at the picture that's here that comes with this. So it's a picture of some soldiers on a military truck driving through the countryside. Not a good sign. So let's keep that in mind for our context of understanding the words. So I already drew up a little document and we can use that to mark this up. So Mali, and then semicolon. So that just means, hey, this took place in Mali. So Mali Djenne marala Iowa. Donc mara namba foko mara okoroko region. All right. So Djenne marala. Djenne is the town on the Niger River. So Djenne mara la. La here, this postposition is going to be used to mean in. So in the Djenne region. So now we have a location of where these events took place. And they say, then we have this nice clause, Niya dogokun fla nyogon ye. Aiwa. So you can see there's a ye here. So if this were written out separately, and I'll do that just for our purposes here. Niye a dogokun fla nyogon ye. Aiwa. So let's do this. I'm going to add that just to make it a little bit easier to follow. So we're focusing on this part. Niya dogokun fla nyogon ye. Aiwa. So ni okoroko this, namba foko ni okoroko this, ye a dogokun fla nyogon ye. So this and then the ye is our equative, so it's going to equal something. So what is this equal to? It's equal to a dogokun fla nyogon. Aiwa. So a dogokun literally means it's weak, right? So a and then dogokun. So it's dogokun, and dogokun is going to mean a week. Dogokun. So it actually literally means market head. And that's a way of talking about a market cycle. So here it means week. So niya adogokun fla. Fla koroko to nyogon ye. Nyogon. So nyogon has a couple different meanings in general, but when we're talking about numbers, it's saying thereabouts or approximately. So let's put approximately here. So this niye adogokun fla nyogoye. This is its second week approximately. So this is roughly its second week. This is roughly its second week. So that's kind of a roundabout way to express the idea of, hey, 2 weeks ago, or something occurred about 2 weeks ago. And in general, in Bambara, that's expressed this way, where you could say, niye atile sabaye. This is its third day. So, niye a tile sabaye mbe julakan fo. Right? This is its third day. I speak Jula. So that would mean this is the third day in a row, it's implied here, that I'm speaking Jula. So it's I've been speaking Jula for 3 days would kind of be the idea. The past 3 days, I've been speaking Jula, but it's expressed in this kind of roundabout way that is particular to Manding. So let's come back to our sentence. Djenne marala. So in the Djenne region, niye adogokun fla nyogoye. It's been about 2 weeks, and then now we get into our next clause. All right. So jatige walekelao ni donzo tun karala nyogona. Aiwa. So I think there's a typo here. You can see they have nyogon na and then na again. I think they just mean to say nyogona. Aiwa. So let's just make that assumption. We won't go into why. Jatige walekelao ni donzo. Aiwa. The other thing, there's a spelling mistake here. So let's look at this. We need to find our verb first. So jatige walekelao ni donzo tun karela nyogona. Our verb is going to be kakari. Aiwa. Kakari korokodi namba foko kakari. So if we actually wanted to, we could look this up in the dictionary. So if you look here, I actually have done it for you. If we looked up kare in the dictionary, you can see that one of the options is break, right? Casser, briser, abe kare, it'll break. Aiwa. But if we look this up and it didn't really seem right, so that doesn't quite make sense. If we say jatigurani donso tunkarela nyogona, if we actually looked up in the forum, which I have done also on my website for Ankata, you could check that out. Kakare nyogona. If we had done a search in the forum, then we would see that actually there's an expression here, and I've listed this, kakare nyogona. I gave an example. B, Chelsea ni Manchester be kare nyogona. Today, Chelsea and Manchester face off. So it's the idea of s'affronter. So if we come back to our document, kakare nyogona. Here you can see there's another instance of nyogon, but this nyogon is slightly different from the other one. This one is the reciprocal marker. So it's the idea of if you say we greet one another, ambe nyogon fo. Ambe nyogon fo. So we greet each other. Kakare nyogona, literally we break one another. But here it doesn't mean we break one another. It means that we meet up or we s'affronter or to face off, or in this context likely to engage in combat. Kakare nyogona. So let's say to face off. Kakare nyogona. So that shows you a little bit how you can use the dictionary and the forum to start to figure out what things mean. So jatigilauni donso tunkarela nyogona. So who are the two groups that faced off? Those would be jatigiwalekelauni donzo. Aiwa. Namba foko jatigiwalekelao. All right, so what are our pieces here? First of all, we have jatige, which means literally to cut someone's ja. So ja would be your shadow or your spirit. And so if we looked that up in the dictionary, for instance, we can see that jatige kelao, aiwa okodi. Ja, here you can see I've looked up ja, and that says spirit, soul, or shadow. And then actually underneath it, there's an expression listed, ki jatige, to frighten or to scare. So jatige can be a compound noun meaning fear, right? So then if we come back to our little document, ayo ambafle, jatige kelao, or jatige wale kelao. All right, so wale means an action. So this is an action of fear, and then kelao, so doers, and then in the plural. So in this context, this is actually used to refer, they're using it to refer to terrorists. So basically, doers of fearful or fear-mongering acts. Doers of fear-mongering acts. And then it says, jatige walekelau, ni and donzo being hunters, right? So hunters, it's a traditional Manding group. Aiwa. And then we have our last piece, which is tung. So we haven't really talked about tung yet this far. This is going to be a retrospective marker that throws things into the past. So tung, generally, we would most likely know it from things like mbe Bamako, right? I was in Bamako. That can become or I am in Bamako, mbe Bamako, ntumbe Bamako. I was in Bamako. But it can also work with verbal sentences. So for instance, if we said something like Kumana, I spoke, right? And if we wanted to say I had spoken, kumana, right? So it's always going to appear between the sentence and an auxiliary, or in the case of these kinds of sentences, right between the subject and the verb, because this is our perfective verb or perfective use of an intransitive verb. Ayo. So, Sisa namba be faranyoka okodi oko Djenne marala niya do kumfla nyogoye jatige walekelauni donzo tunkarla nyogona. So Mali, in the Djenne region, it has been roughly 2 weeks that terrorists and hunters have combated one another or have faced off. Aiwa, mukoso olube kuma ale dekan. Obakuma okan kasaboyake kele le dona jenkulu nununi nyogonche. So they've been speaking about it because there has been some conflict between these two groups recently. So you can see that VOA has been covering it. They, for instance, covered this, une quarantaine de morts dans des combats entre djihadistes et chasseurs traditionnels au Mali. So here they're saying that there were 40 deaths between what they call jihadists and traditional hunters. So you can see the ways that the terms that are used in the French or the English language press can slightly differ from the actual Manding language press. So unfortunately, this isn't great news. Alaka jamana suma, may God cool the country. Alaka kele bampil, may God end the fighting completely. Aiwa, nala sona videoni diara auye, alaka wati wera yira na auniche